Good morning. Okay, sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Maybe not technical difficulties, just trying to get back into the swing of things. Have my allergies from being back in the region. So my eyes are a little blurry today. But that's okay. We'll figure all this out. Maybe this just needs to go on the side. It doesn't want to stay where it is. All right. Well, good morning. Welcome back. If you tuned into the video last week, I appreciate you. After coming back from Sedona, we got in late last night, so I'm so excited to be here with you today. Whew. All right. So, let's see. I wrote down some notes today. That's what I'm looking for. All right. Whew. So I hope everyone is doing well. I hope that you are easing into spring. I know my allergies are a little high, with the pollen being high, and just checking in with that. I was excited to be in the desert and thinking there wouldn't be allergens, and I found out why cottonwood is called cottonwood. So, but that's okay. Yeah, so when you're on retreats like that, it just is so interesting, all the different things that show up and come in. And good morning, Diane. Thank you. As lovely as it is to be in Sedona, it's always good to be home too. And I missed all of you, so I couldn't stay away for too long, right? All right, yeah. Let me get the glasses back on. And there's things that just come up and that need to be worked through. I'm sorry that I had things I wanted to write down, but I'm also being instructed to tell a story that I just told a moment ago to somebody else, and I heard actually from a couple of different sources while I was in Sedona. So I'm sorry, I have a glare on my glasses and it's bothering me. So let me tell the story and then we'll move on. So somewhere south, I think it was in Arizona, but I'm not 100% sure. And I don't have all the research on it because I wasn't planning on telling the story. So I believe it's in Arizona that they had this biodome that they've been putting together. It took years, right? And they made sure that all of the levels, oxygen levels, gas levels, soil levels, everything was perfect to be in this perfect biodome. And yes, I hear the Polly Shore for those of you who are Gen Xers. But they had everything perfect. And after a couple of months, and again, I don't know the exacts, but it didn't even make it a year. Even though all of the levels were absolutely perfect for this environment, the trees started falling over and dying. The plants weren't doing well. The people were not doing well. They had to pull them out because they were kind of losing their minds. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. You know, like they're looking at everything and everything is perfect. And then they found that they didn't have wind. That was the one thing that was missing, was the wind. And so they put a little fan in that made wind. They did everything, and then it became a huge success. And so the point of the story is that if we don't have a little wind, if we don't get blown, the trees actually are stronger when the wind blows. right? But it makes their roots get sturdier, and they learn how to flex and blow in the wind. Good morning, Chrissy. Thank you. Good to see you. And when we have that wind, it helps us be able to come back and be in place and do the things that we need to do as well. So, just because things may not be perfect, just because things are not exactly the way that we want them to be, just because conditions are not perfect, that there's some wind blowing. Sit with it. What is it that the wind is trying to teach you? Right? And in Sedona, oh my goodness, it was so windy. I've never been there when it's been so windy. So there was definitely some winds of change happening. So my little story about the wind. Okay, and maybe I need to look up all sorry, one of those words I can't say, all of the details of that. All right, so back to what I had planned on talking about today. So I know I've touched on why I call this Mindless Mondays instead of Mindful Mondays. And being mindful is definitely something to be aware of, being mindful of our triggers and our what we are doing and why we do things and our patterns and things, right? But at the same time, our minds are so full of stuff, right? Whether it is our spouses, whether it is work, it is kids, it's getting to the grocery store, it's making sure we do this, that, and another. We have these lists that are in our brain so that when we try and meditate, our brain goes, oh, you forgot to do this and you forgot to do that and we need to do this. And it starts going down all the lists that you have and what you need to be doing, right? So let's be less in our mind. That's the mindless. Let's get into the bodies. Let's get into our feelings and less of our emotions. Okay, so a feeling lasts for a moment. Emotions are where they last longer than, I think it's 5 to 10 minutes. And our emotions are what swirl and whirl, and we start telling stories and having stories and getting all up in our heads. I know if you were here for our metaphysical discussion group on Friday, Eric said he talked about how he was watching something and the lady named her brain by another name so that when she started whirling and going down those rabbit holes, she could be like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not helpful. And so I was thinking about that. Mine wants to be called Dorothy because she twirls, right? She whirls in those those whirlwinds. So let's have our feelings. Let's get into our senses, because that helps get us down into the body. A lot of us are disconnected or have been disconnected from our bodies, mostly caused from trauma, right? And those kinds of things. Yeah, and something else that came up in Sedona was that maybe we didn't have all of our tools for our rituals, right? So I talked about having tea and doing those things that like reminds our bodies or triggers our bodies or tells our bodies that, hey, we're getting ready to be peaceful, we're getting ready to be quiet. And that's all wonderful because we want that. But at the same time, we need to figure out ways that if we don't have that, then how can we still get into that space? And that's really what having the tools are, is having something to help us, but then we can learn how to be in that space. And we've talked about that a lot, about how bringing a feeling forward from an experience. So if we want to be joyous, when was a time that we were joyous? So that we can bring that feeling back in and then put that experience in the back, or make it in the background. So I hope that makes sense. And the same thing with the tools, right? If we don't have our tool, then we don't want to not be able to meditate. If it's not perfect, we still want to be able to bloom and do things right. So we still want to be able to meditate in that moment. Maybe we're being triggered and we're at the grocery store. And how do we bring ourselves back, even though we don't have our chimes or our candles or our incense and things like that? So today I actually just have water, and I actually have Palo Santo instead of the sandalwood, because that's what I felt called today. I don't have a candle, just a little charcoal, which I should probably put on something so I don't melt my table. Always be careful with the charcoal. But I felt like we needed maybe a little clearing and cleansing with some Palo Santo today. Okay. And sometimes when I talk to people, they talk about how they can't keep the Palo Santo lit. So, I have it on a charcoal to keep it going. So when you light Palo Santo, you have fire, right? That's how we get it going. We get it nice and hot and warm. And then we actually don't want the flame. We want the smoke. Okay? So just imagine taking the smoke, clearing, bringing it into the third eye, clearing over the head, maybe bringing it into the heart, and just clearing the space. Clearing the space that is you, because that's the most important, right? Good. Just allowing any heaviness to wash away. Allowing any stories that may be popping up right now. Just put them in, I used to put them in a hot air balloon and just let them float away and go over all of the mountains. And then I'd pop it and let them just be over that way. And sometimes that's just what we need to do. Or we can put them in a trunk, because for right now they're not helpful, they're not useful. Alright, last little bit of smoke. Good. Alright. So, and I've read a lot of books again, or recently, about setting intentions. And so, the interesting thing about setting intentions is that we want them to be specific, but we don't want them to be detailed. And I know it seems like the two go hand in hand, but we want to be able to have the universe to fill in the blanks. So, yeah, thank you. A great visual they were just giving me is it's like a dot to dot. We know what the picture may look like when we're end, or you can see it. I'm sorry, they're showing me a rabbit. How many Easter dot to dots have I done? That must have been a rabbit. So I know it's a rabbit, and in the end I know I want it to look like a rabbit, but allowing the universe to put those dots in so that it looks like a rabbit. And yes, this is the ears, right? The nose and the legs. And allowing the universe, God, creator, whatever word you like to use for that, to fill in those dots. Okay, so whether right now you want your intention to just be that you want to be more in the body, then have it be that. And if you can, please use it as more. We don't want to be less in the mind. We want to be more in the body. That's the direct piece. Okay? We want to be in our feelings right now. Okay? Or if you have something else, that's perfectly fine too. All right. So set your intention for this moment. And maybe if you don't know what it feels like to be more in the body, that can be the intention. I want to know what it feels like to be more in my body. And so one way that we can do that is by connecting with the breath. And don't change anything. Just allow your body to breathe itself. And just bringing that intention. Sometimes I stare at people and they're like, and I'm like, I'm not really staring at you. I'm checking in with other things. And so kind of the same thing where I can have my eyes open, but maybe they're soft. And instead of being where my eyes are, I'm in the body. Just feeling the breath, feeling my body breathing itself. Just noticing what's going on with my body. Is my belly extending? Am I breathing up into my lungs? Or up into the chest? Always breathing into the lungs, right? Am I sitting up straight? Is my body maybe a little uncomfortable and is telling me I need to move and shift after sitting on a plane for several hours yesterday? Am I carrying the weight of my world on my shoulders so my shoulders are up here? Just checking in with the body, and if it helps to close the eyes, please do. What is my body telling me it needs in this moment? Good. And if you're feeling triggered or you're feeling an emotion coming up that is old and you're not ready for it, then just take it and put it in that chest for right now. Make yourself a note and let's talk about it later. Okay? Reach out. That's why I'm here. But right now is just about connecting with the body and the breath. Good. All right, let's shift now into that box breathing, the 4-4-4-4 breathing. So bringing a little more attention to, I don't want, the word control keeps coming up and I don't want to use that word, but putting a little more emphasis on what we want to do with our breath. So breathe in and out and breathe in. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4, hold empty. 2, 3, 4, good. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, hold. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, breathe in. 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Good. And this time breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a couple moments. And exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more round. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Take a regular, nice, deep breath. And out. And reminding you that as you breathe, when your inhale is shorter than your exhale, that starts to stimulate the rest and digest, the parasympathetic system. So just take a couple of moments checking in with your body, feeling your feels. Good. Then bringing your attention into your heart. And that beats your heart. And if your heart is pounding, just bring some calm and peace into it with the breath. Nice, slow, deep breath in. And an even slower, deeper exhale out. Good. Good. All right. So now, not coming back too much yet, but I do want you to come back into the room. So staying in that peace and that rest and that digestion, but just bringing your awareness into the space around you now. And here we're going to come into our senses. And this is a great thing to do to connect with the senses. You can play this game throughout the day. And if you're feeling triggered, and that's a great reason to do it when you're not feeling triggered, right? So that you have the tools of it again, right? This is another tool. But you know how to use the tool well enough so that if you're feeling triggered, then you can go right into how to use it and not have to figure out the steps, right? When we're feeling triggered, it's not the greatest time to ask for directions, right? And then it makes it a little harder. Okay. So, we're going to come into our senses, like I said. I know I just came across the thing that said go beyond the 5 senses. But let's bring it back to the 5 senses because they're important too. Again, that connects us with our bodies. So, what I would like for you to do is, without moving your head too much, okay, and just bringing your sense, widen your sense out into the room. Okay, and if you need to look a little bit, that's okay. But I want you to become aware of 5 things that you can see. Okay? So 5 things that you can see in this moment. And name them. And have fun with it. If you want to be very specific, again, sorry, that's a word my brain doesn't like to say. Or detailed. Okay. So what are those 5 things that you see in your realm, in your space, getting really big with your perception? And the reason it's good to get big is because when we get lost in our minds, we get very narrow in our focus and we often look down. We often are very pinpointed, right? So get big. Good. And if you have your 5 things, fantastic. That's the easy one, right? Okay. So now, what are 4 things that you hear? And so maybe close your eyes and expand with your ears. What are 4 things? 4 things that you hear in this moment. So I always laugh every time I do that here, or I talk about this here. It gets so quiet, and we have a main road. So as I was talking about it, I could hear the traffic. I heard somebody close a door. I can hear my ears ringing. But my 4th thing was the quiet. That's important too, is to hear the quiet. Good. All right. Or if you don't have the quiet, see if you can find the moments between the noise. And they may just be a moment. But find those. So you take your awareness away from the noise and into the quiet pieces. You know, it's like a clock ticking. If you have a clock ticking, and sometimes that, like can wear on us, but it goes tick, tick, tick. So that space in between the ticks is the quiet. Okay. All right, so hopefully you got your 4 things that you could hear. What are 3 things that you can touch? 3 things that you can touch, you can feel. Okay, so maybe your desk or whatever your computer is on has a texture or a feel to it. So name 3 without getting up and moving too much. We want to do it right here in this space for right now. If you're out and being triggered, maybe you move out of that spot. Right, Diane? Moving out of that spot. We've talked a lot about that. And finding something to touch. I've got little pieces of Palo Santo. And maybe it's not something with your hands, maybe it's something with your feet, maybe it's your arms from your clothes. So bringing it, your perception into your attention to your skin. Good. All right. Now these last 2 may be a little more, take a little more practice to find, or what have you. So right now, I'd like for you to find 2 things that you can smell. And maybe in this moment there's only one. Right now all I can smell is Palo Santo. Good. And maybe if you have that coworker, if you're sitting at work, who wears the perfume that maybe is a little stronger than your sense of smell is okay with, maybe be grateful in this moment that you can smell that, because there's not much else you can smell, or maybe it's not the greatest of smells. Okay, last one is one thing that you can taste. One thing you can taste in this moment. Alright, I know the last two can be a little more challenging and maybe need a little more perception out further. But it's a great practice to get into, to get back into the body, the senses, and less in the mind and in those triggers and in those rabbit holes. So, I hope you'll practice this today, throughout your day. And I hope in the moment that you need it, that you find some little peace in it, that it helps you to come out of whatever that trigger is, because there's a lot out there right now. And all the tools that we can have and need is fantastic. So find your tools to find your piece of peace. All right, my friends. I'm sorry I went over a little bit today, but I love you so very much. So much gratitude for each and every one of you. Sending you a little love, a little Sedona energy. And we will see you either this week or next time. Have a lovely day.